Let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a deeply philosophical, yet incredibly practical challenge that literally every high achiever eventually faces. We are talking about the transition of aging. Specifically, how to transform the inevitable friction of getting older into a powerful second curve of meaning, influence, and impact. If you spent your entire life succeeding through sheer speed and cognitive horsepower, well, you might view aging as the enemy. But what if it's actually the gateway to your most profound phase of life?
So, the crucial point we're starting with is that exact moment of anxiety. You know the feeling. It's when you realize your raw processing power, your ability to pull those all-nighters, and your physical stamina just aren't quite what they used to be. For executives, entrepreneurs, and driven professionals, this realization can trigger what experts call the striver's curse. Think about it. You've built your whole identity on being the fastest and the sharpest in the room. So what happens to your sense of self when you can't just outwork or outrun the competition anymore? It's a terrifying question, but asking it is the very first step toward a completely new strategy for success.
Let's get right into Section 1, the midlife achievement trap.
Now, this trap isn't just some psychological phase you go through. It's a biological reality that hits high achievers, often right in the middle of their supposedly most successful years. To really understand it, we have to look at how we typically age. Dr. Peter Attia defines our ultimate fear perfectly as the marginal decade. He's referring to the last 10 years of life where, sure, we might technically be surviving thanks to modern medicine, but we are severely constrained. It's a period defined by a loss of cognitive and physical abilities where we literally can't do the things we love, whether that's traveling, playing with our grandkids, or doing meaningful work. High achievers see this decade looming on the horizon and often just double down on their current habits. They run on a treadmill of stress to try and outpace the decline, which, ironically, just accelerates the burnout. But here's the good news. Longevity science offers a much better alternative that we should all be striving for instead, the bonus decade. You see, it isn't just about lifespan, it's about health span. The bonus decade represents a period in later life where your physical and mental capacities are actually maintained or even improved. The goal is to square the curve, meaning we stay highly functional and thrive in every single dimension of life right up until the very end. But achieving this, that requires us to proactively alter our trajectory right now, both physically and mentally. As geneticist David Sinclair points out, this physical loss of resilience is a massive psychological blow to anyone used to running at top speed. It's incredibly frustrating to realize your body needs more recovery time, or that a minor setback takes way longer to overcome. But here's the fascinating thing. This physical and cognitive slowing down, it's really only half the story. If we only focus on what we're losing, we completely miss the extraordinary capabilities that our brains are actively gaining.
Which brings us to Section 2, the two types of intelligence.
This is a massive pivot point in our understanding of aging. We need to look at how our brain actually trades one type of power for another. Based on data from the World Health Organization, we can see two distinct categories. On one hand, you have your fluid intelligence. That's your raw processing speed, your ability to multitask, and your capacity to solve totally novel problems on the fly. And yes, this peaks early and begins to decline. But on the other hand, you have your crystallized intelligence. This includes factual knowledge, comprehension, intuitive processing, and the ability to synthesize incredibly complex information. This doesn't decline, it stabilizes and actually improves as we age. Your brain is literally rewiring itself. It goes from being a fast processor to becoming a master synthesizer.
And because of this massive increase in synthesis and knowledge, experts note that workplace productivity does not fall with age. I absolutely love this point from Peter Capelli at the Wharton Center for Human Resources. He notes that, especially for leaders managing complex problems, performance actually gets better. Think about it. You've seen the patterns before. You know exactly how to navigate the messy human elements of a crisis. You aren't just innovating from scratch anymore. You're instructing, you're guiding, and you're seeing the big picture. You are trading the frantic, chaotic energy of the innovator for the deep, grounded wisdom of the mentor.
Let's move into Section 3, resume versus eulogy virtues. Let's step out of the boardroom for a second and look at the actual philosophy required to make this transition work. Because if you try to win fluid intelligence games using crystallized intelligence, you're going to stay trapped by the striver's curse. Authors like Arthur Brooks and Dr. Peter Attia realized we need a fundamental mindset shift here. For the first half of our lives, we obsess over resume virtues. You know, the degrees, the titles, the status, the speed. But to actually thrive in the second half of life, we have to actively pivot toward eulogy virtues. These are the traits people will actually remember you for: your emotional health, how present you were, and the mentorship you provided. Leaning into your crystallized intelligence means prioritizing relational connection and deep meaning over just blindly chasing the next promotion.
Dan Buettner's extensive research into the blue zones, those amazing regions where people live the longest, healthiest lives, confirms this exactly. Finding a deeper life purpose is absolutely vital. It's about finding your flow. You know that state, that feeling of total immersion and quiet enjoyment where time just completely slips away? Finding this peaceful flow in your daily life, rather than agonizing over declining speed, is the absolute cornerstone of a thriving second curve. It's what gives you a real reason to get out of bed in the morning, one that has nothing to do with your ego.
A 107-year-old Sardinian woman named Raffaella perfectly summarized this need to downshift. She told researchers, "Life is short, don't run so fast you miss it." What a profound reminder. Constant, frantic striving can actually blind us to the experience of living itself. To fully step into your crystallized intelligence, you literally have to slow down enough to observe the patterns you are now so perfectly equipped to understand.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, launching your Encore Career. Okay, so how do we actually leverage this deeper purpose and crystallized intelligence into an actionable Encore Career, one that prioritizes meaning? Well, first we have to shatter a huge myth. If you think innovation and starting new ventures is strictly a young person's game, think again. The World Health Organization reveals that 23% of new entrepreneurs in the U.S. between 2011 and 2012 were aged 55 to 64. Furthermore, twice as many successful entrepreneurs were older than 50 compared to those under 25. Your second curve isn't about fading away. It's about launching something completely new, but doing it from a foundation of deep, lived experience.
We are seeing older adults apply their synthesis to complex problem-solving all over the globe. Just take David Sinclair's own father, who at age 80 joined a university ethics committee, leveraging a lifetime of scientific rigor. Or look at Thailand's brain banks. They actively connect the vast, crystallized knowledge of retired workers with organizations that desperately need their specific insights. And then there's AgeWell in South Africa, where older adults provide peer support, creating immense social impact. These are all perfect, real-world examples of the Encore Career, moving from individual ambition to complex social problem-solving.
So what does your own roadmap look like? Well, here is your blueprint. First, consider taking Skillbaticals. That's dedicated time off for retraining, learning, and really reflecting on your next pivot. Second, actively transition your daily role from the person generating all the novel ideas to the person instructing and mentoring the next generation. Third, look towards social entrepreneurship. Use your vast network and your pattern recognition to solve systemic problems rather than just chasing profit. And finally, never ever stop investing in lifelong learning. Pick up a new language, learn an instrument, keep building that cognitive reserve.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. You no longer need to be the fastest processor in the room because you're now becoming the master synthesizer. You have the wisdom, you have the data, and you understand the trap of the striver's curse. The bonus decade is waiting for you, but it requires making a deliberate choice today to step into your Eulogy virtues. So the question is, how will you design your Encore? Thank you for tuning into this explainer. I highly encourage you to carve out some time today and start mapping out your own second curve.